Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 26 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. In the heart of the source ground of the primordial cosmos, Luo Feng was gazing up at the majestic and vast great Tao of life origin before him. Previously in cultivation, Luo Feng had scarce resources, far less than the elites nurtured by the Shi Kingdom and Yu country, let alone compared to the elites of the two ancient countries. The calamity beast diagram that excited him was merely a cheap resource sold externally by the flame wind ancient country. The so-called void diagram paired with calamity beast diagram was also circulated among the descendants of the big families in the flame wind ancient country. Clearly, in the eyes of the flame wind ancient country, such resources were trifling. Yet with just these resources, Luo Feng's will broke through to the godly king level. The great Tao of life origin is right in front of my eyes, and Morosa can also demonstrate some mysteries of the great Tao of destruction origin for me. At least with these two Tao of origin, my cultivation will be much smoother, thought Luo Feng. There are many types of origin great Tao. Great powers cultivating their descendants can choose a suitable path according to what they are good at and equip them with corresponding resources. Luo Feng had fewer choices available to him. Given the possibility to choose, Luo Feng was already very grateful. What I comprehend most deeply is the source of life and death. Both the life origin and destruction origin are quite suitable for me. Luo Feng was quite satisfied. According to the information left by my master, the primal chaos overlord, upon comprehending the threshold of the origin great Tao, one can become a godly king. Upon becoming a godly king, one can then begin to glimpse some of the aspects of the origin great Tao they are comprehending. Before becoming a godly king, the origin great Tao is invisible and intangible. Naturally, there are indirect methods, such as a godly king personally displaying the Tao to a disciple, or some rare treasures that can manifest parts of the Tao. Owning the primordial cosmos allows one to see the great Tao of life origin. The Tao is before my very eyes, but to comprehend it, I must rely on myself. Luo Feng was very clear on this. The two ancient countries had numerous opportunities, but how many could become a godly king? Even Emperor Chu Yu was at the stage of eternal true God now. Regardless of how abundant the resources are, it still depends on the individual. The calamity beast diagram was openly sold throughout the land of origin, but how many have a will at the godly king level? Life origin. Luo Feng, sitting cross-legged in the void, watched the great Tao of life origin before him. Just by watching, a wealth of information surged into his mind. This serpentine dragon before him, each of its scales imprinted vast amounts of information into Luo Feng's consciousness, and those 24 claws were even more so, constantly inundating him with vast information, with a swarm of information about the great Tao of life origin being too vast and complex, flooding in all at once. As the massive information surged in, Luo Feng's past understanding of the laws seemed superficial. The information from the life origin carried a supreme beauty with each piece, naturally changing many aspects of Luo Feng's cognition. This isn't right. Luo Feng had only comprehended for a moment before he immediately woke up, and in an instant, he dispersed this incarnation of divine power. In the land of origin, Yu Kingdom, Huyang City. Luo Feng was also in seclusion in the underground hall, and at this moment, he felt a sense of fear. So, facing the complete life origin directly is so dangerous. Luo Feng was secretly alarmed. No wonder soul transferring the primordial cosmos requires a high level of will. If the will is too low, facing the life origin directly can easily lead to complete loss of self. One's own understanding can be completely altered by the impact of more profound Tao information. It could even drive one completely insane, which is entirely possible. What I control is truly mine. I must take it step by step, absorbing what I need, discard what is currently unsuitable for me, establishing the foundation of my own Tao. Luo Feng understood that there was nothing wrong with the massive information, but his own realm was too low. It's like asking an elementary school student on Earth, who had just learned addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and some basic equations, to immediately face a deluge of higher mathematics information. Most importantly, this influx was chaotic. The best approach should be from low to high, from shallow to deep, evolving gradually. Every step of the foundation must be solid to have the hope of fully analyzing the entire life origin. If one were to absorb all the information, it would only contaminate one's cognition. Fortunately, I have reached the godly king's will and can maintain absolute clarity. Luo Feng knew that face-to-face with life origin was an opportunity not less than the Lai Yuan technique, but the prerequisite was to be able to grasp it. If not able to grasp it, it can be harmful rather than beneficial. Starting with my original cognition as the core, I began to absorb what is useful to me. Luo Feng segmented his memory. The memories before watching the life origin were one part, the memories contacted after watching the life origin were another part, and he began selectively absorbing information from the latter part, temporarily sealing away what was momentarily useless. At Luo Feng's level, memory control was quite an easy task. First sort through the information, slowly integrating it into myself. Luo Feng calmed down to cultivate. Only after sorting out, researching, reflecting, summarizing, and absorbing all the information from this observation could he proceed to watch the great Tao of life origin again. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Time passed, and Luo Feng temporarily stopped comprehending the 3000 void calamity beast diagram, focusing on the comprehension of laws, as the taste of continuous slow improvements was indeed wonderful. This was much more efficient than the comprehension he had done over the past 2 decades. Master, Morosa came to the door of the underground hall, conveying through the mind, I've digested it all, you can let me in now. Morosa also found this somewhat strange. In the past, the master often came out to rest, but this time the comprehension session was quite long. Buzz. The doors to the underground hall opened, and when Morosa saw Luo Feng, a knot formed in his heart. Could it be that his master was not too pleased? After all, Luo Feng was immersed in the comprehension process, and Morosa had suddenly interrupted him, leaving his thoughts still afloat. Hurry up, Luo Feng beckoned and sent Morosa into his exclusive layer of space within the Star Tower, then continued to comprehend the mysteries of law. Arriving at his own layer in the Star Tower, Morosa sat cross-legged in front of the corpse of Divine Monarch Shuiyun, immediately beginning to absorb. The Divine Monarch's body started to disintegrate, and the dissolving divine power and bloodline surged toward Morosa. A smile of satisfaction appeared on Morosa's face as he began to absorb the essence. This bloodline of Shuiyun, could it be of the primal chaos realm level? Morosa could tell the difference as soon as he began absorbing it. Even if Yu Qianshu's bloodline was special, it was fundamentally different from that of Shuiyun's corpse. Before his death, Shuiyun had undergone a bloodline transformation, resulting in a primal chaos realm bloodline. This is a huge gain, exclaimed Morosa joyfully, and he immediately began absorbing and assimilating continuously. In another layer of the Star Tower space, Luo Feng was sitting cross-legged. The divine power incarnation in the source ground of the primordial cosmos was facing the great Tao of life origin for the 9th time, naturally receiving a wealth of Tao information. In just over an hour, Luo Feng stopped. He began to digest the information about the Tao he had received this time. Over the prior lengthy period, Luo Feng's realm had reached the pinnacle of an eternal true God. However, having faced the great Tao of life origin just 9 times, Luo Feng had advanced further in all aspects of comprehension. I originally thought that the transition from the pinnacle of an eternal true God to the primal chaos realm, even with my godly king's will and highly efficient comprehension, would require a long time to accumulate. But now, facing the great Tao of life origin, the speed of accumulation is much faster, Luo Feng mused to himself. Of course, that was just the way it was. The great Tao is laid out before him, but it must still be comprehended selectively and progress must be made step by step. Just like the tangible manifestation of the primal chaos laws in the primal chaos ruins, how many can comprehend the law of primal chaos? Huyang City was bustling as usual. The countless citizens inside did not care about the conflict between the Shi Kingdom and Yu country, as such strife had already continued for an endless expanse of time, longer than the lifespan of a true god. They were long accustomed to it. Luo Feng and Morosa, master and servant, were both in seclusion. Inside the cave mansion, only Moyu Qingyang was left to guard alone. Finally, one day, in Morosa's dedicated layer of the Star Tower space, he sat cross-legged where the divine body of Shuiyun had long been absorbed. Suddenly, Morosa's body trembled, and a terrifying aura was released from his figure, sweeping across that layer of the Star Tower space. This aura, full of destructive and murderous intent, even startled Luo Feng from his lengthy meditation. What's going on? Luo Feng sensed the entire Star Tower naturally, and with a thought, he was already in that layer of space. Luo Feng looked at Morosa in front of him. Morosa was still sitting cross-legged, but was engulfed by the grandiose, turbulent, and terrifying aura of destruction that unceasingly swept the entire space. Merely facing this terrifying aura, Luo Feng's body naturally exerted blade technique domain as protection, resisting this terrifying aura. The Sector Beast's breakthrough to the primal chaos realm is indeed terrifying, Luo Feng said inwardly. After the unstable aura of destruction wreaked havoc for a long time, Morosa's body also began to transform, effortlessly taking on his truest form. A high and perfect life form appeared, surpassing the beauty of any species. This beauty even contained the supreme mysteries. Luo Feng understood that the Sector Beast was born from the great Tao of destruction origin, and its body naturally reached the perfect limit of every realm. A full day passed before Morosa slowly opened his eyes. Master, the domain within me has completely transformed into the primal chaos realm. Morosa looked at Luo Feng and said, now my body also needs to transform into the primal chaos realm. You don't need to worry about me, just focus on your breakthrough. Luo Feng watched from the side. Morosa nodded. Boom tilde tilde tilde. Morosa's body began to evolve, transforming from the eternal realm to the primal chaos realm, every bit of strength reaching a new level. In just a moment, his body had completely transformed. Watching Morosa now, Luo Feng felt that, in a head-on clash, the primal chaos realm Morosa might be able to completely shatter him with a single slap. Both being perfect life forms, the gap between the primal chaos realm and the eternal realm was too great. Master, my body has already transformed, and my divine power is 100 times purer, which is why my frame has decreased substantially. Morosa reverted to his simple appearance and said, I need to absorb energy continuously, to supply my body's growth. This process might last for about 1 era. The growth of the body is always slow, Luo Feng nodded. The first lengthy seclusion he had undergone upon coming to the land of origin had allowed his godly body to grow to its limit. Your godly body at the true god level had a maximum height of 18 billion kilometers just like mine, Luo Feng asked. At the primal chaos realm level, how high do you estimate you can grow? The information transmitted by the destruction of the origin lets me understand that my maximum height at the primal chaos realm should exceed 1 trillion kilometers, Morosa replied. Measuring over 1 trillion kilometers tall, with 100-fold more refined strength, the energy required is naturally immense. It's quite normal that it took nearly 1 era for his body to grow to its limit, especially since Morosa made a comprehensive breakthrough and greatly increased the efficiency of absorbing energy from heaven and earth. The same is true for Luo Feng's future. Even with the comprehension of primal chaos laws, it would take a long time for the godly body to grow to its limit. Take it slow, there's no rush, Luo Feng said. The advantage of a perfect life form is indeed considerable, and that's just for a primal chaos realm sector beast. What about at the godly king tier? How terrifying would it be? It's feared that with one breath, Huyang City would be reduced to ashes. No wonder the pinnacle sector beasts have such strong deterrent in the land of origin, enabling Qianmu Kingdom to become a first-rate nation in one go. It's precisely because of the fear of pinnacle sector beasts that the various forces in the land of origin will eliminate all weak sector beasts, giving them no chance to grow. Even after becoming a primal chaos realm being, outside of the Star Tower, you still must not reveal any sector beast abilities, Luo Feng reminded. Don't worry, Master, I understand, Morosa nodded. The more he understood, the deeper he realized the waters of the land of origin were. His current target is the sector beast from Qianmu Kingdom. To learn from the senior. To bide one's time until the pinnacle. Fortunately, his master is also a perfect life form. Believing that they would be stronger together in the future than the Purplewood Godly King and Sector Beast Union of Qianmu Kingdom. Master, before Shuiyun's death, his bloodline had completely transformed. Morosa explained, by absorbing his godly body, I've also grasped more of the power of the destruction origin. Would you like me to show it to you now? Sure, Luo Feng nodded, show me. Whether it's the destruction refinement method or the integration of life and death, Luo Feng attaches great importance to the destruction origin. With just a thought from Morosa, the profound mysteries of the destruction origin unfolded before him. After seeing the complete picture of the great Tao of life origin, what Morosa showed was something Luo Feng could now watch calmly. After all, in terms of power and level, what Morosa showed was far too weak. As Luo Feng watched, he became absorbed in it. The great Tao of destruction origin that Morosa displayed might be limited, but it also included the complete primal chaos laws and some shallow-level mysteries of the destruction origin. These shallow levels, which came naturally with Morosa's ascent to the primal chaos realm, far surpassed Luo Feng's current tier. Despite the great Tao of life origin being quite complete, Luo Feng's realm is too low, and he needs to carefully select and selectively absorb insights, fearing contamination and distortion of his own path of cultivation. The mysteries of the destruction origin shown by Morosa might be weaker, but they are still a full tier higher than Luo Feng's, making them incredibly suitable for Luo Feng to grasp. No need for selection, just comprehension without fear of twisted understanding. Morosa, your progress is substantial. The mysteries of the destruction origin you have shown are much stronger than before, Luo Feng said as he contemplated, offering praise. I am now of the primal chaos realm, my comprehension of the destruction origin is naturally higher. Morosa eagerly demonstrated his grasp of the destruction origin, also hoping his master would grow quickly. Luo Feng contemplated for a day, then stood up. Morosa, continue your cultivation at your own pace. After only one day, you're not watching anymore. Morosa felt one day was too short. In the past, contemplating for dozens of days or even longer was quite normal. No need for now. Luo Feng had already returned to his own space in the Star Tower. Sitting cross-legged, Luo Feng's mere day of observing the destruction origin was because a spark of inspiration emerged in his mind. Destruction origin. Life origin. Luo Feng had watched the great Tao of life origin many times, and now, after viewing a lot of destruction origin information, the understanding of the two great Taos naturally corroborated each other. As time passed by day, the insights continually fused, and that spark in Luo Feng's mind became clearer. The world of cultivation is full of endless possibilities and temptations. A so-called opportunity might attract cultivators to another path, or they might be trapped at a bottleneck, unable to break through in their lifetime. The path of cultivation is like advancing through a fog. You wouldn't know you've taken a wrong turn even if you had. I understand now. Luo Feng faintly saw a blurred path appear amidst the fog of cultivation. The great Tao of life origin and the great Tao of destruction origin are utterly different paths, yet Luo Feng grasped the slight connection between them, forming this vague path. This path is destined to be difficult. After all, merging the two great Taos is bound to be challenging. Life and destruction should be one and the same. Luo Feng said softly, the words uttered within the confinement of the Star Tower bearing an unwavering resolve, coming from the depths of his heart. Without life, everything is but dead matter. What point then would destruction serve? With the concept of life, the notion of destruction becomes meaningful. As a living being, the stronger I am, the more powerful my destructive force can be. They naturally complement each other. At this moment, Luo Feng felt that a pure life origin was too fragile, lacking the necessary aggression and deterrence to protect life. The path of pure destruction origin is too extreme. To pursue destruction single-mindedly, like the sector beasts, is to naturally invite pursuit and interception from all quarters. Like the sector beast of Jinmu Kingdom, which now has an owner and no longer works solely towards destruction, it has become tolerable to the various forces of the land of origin. Pure destruction is not the right approach. Even as I follow the Tao of destruction, I do so for the lives that matter to me, for those I wish to protect in my heart. Destruction is for the sake of life. At least, that's how I see it. Luo Feng felt that life and destruction were two origin great Taos that could perfectly integrate. He faced a vast comprehension of the great Tao of life origin and observed the many insights into the destruction origin demonstrated by Morosa. The combination came naturally. With new understandings rising in his mind, Luo Feng felt his heart brimming with joy. There is an old earth saying in our hometown, hearing the Tao in the morning, one can die in the evening without regret. The joy one feels when seeing one's own Tao is a joy that spreads through the entire soul. It is the path one has chosen with certainty and the path one delights in from the heart. The path I shall take is one that combines the origins of life and destruction, which may be called Tao of life and death. I hope that one day I may be worthy to be referred to as the great Tao of life and death, Luo Feng thought. With many insights blossoming in his heart, Luo Feng naturally extended his hand, his fingertips lightly tracing a path that made visible spatial scars within the space of the Star Tower. This one stroke. It was like cleaving an ox with a chef's knife or opening up the void with a blade. It was as though a paintbrush was making strokes across the sky and earth, leaving traces imprinted on the void. It contained an incomparable sharpness. Luo Feng had not even ignited his godly body but merely traced with his finger, and it was enough to rival the full power strike he used against Shuiyun while burning divine power. It also contained Luo Feng's spiritual will. What he cared about the most on his journey of cultivation were those he needed to protect, his own family, his own people. After coming to the land of origin, he was cautious because if he were to die, without him, the countless humans in his tiny cosmos wouldn't survive. Without him, what would become of his family, the fate of his human race? The talent of a primordial ancestor is good, but having arrived at the land of origin, he had yet to become an eternal true god. This shows that talent pales in comparison to personal effort. To protect his family and the human race, the best way is to rely on oneself. This is my Tao, Luo Feng said as he looked at the traces in the half sky. Luo Feng was very pleased, he had found his Tao. As many cultivators grow stronger, they generally choose to focus on one origin great Tao for their cultivation. But Luo Feng, before reaching the primal chaos realm, chose from his heart a path that merged two Taos, believing that pure destruction origin and pure life origin didn't align with his true nature. In terms of realm, this move can be considered a primal chaos realm technique. It's also the first primal chaos realm technique I've realized. Luo Feng casually made another slight movement, causing spatial scars to appear in the usually stable space of the Star Tower. This move shall be called heart honing. The path of cultivation is arduous, and I hope that after enduring 1,000 trials and tribulations, I can still remain true to my original intent. Luo Feng was also reminding himself. For he had seen many powerful beings change themselves along with their cultivation. There were many in his original primordial cosmos and on the land of origin. Take Shuiyun, for instance, who once had a loved one but, in the end, was willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of becoming stronger. Cultivation is also about honing the heart. Luo Feng seated himself cross-legged and began to focus on his cultivation again. The insights of the life origin and the destruction origin were still gradually merging, and Luo Feng was very clear that he was still weak and needed to move forward with devotion and step by step. Just regarding the realm, with only one realized primal chaos realm technique, he still had a gap compared to the former Shuiyun. A 9-layered Tao starts from the accumulation of soil. A 1,000-mile journey begins under one's feet. At the mansion of the Lord of Huyang City, an armor-clad woman with hundreds of braids led a group of guards and was respectfully welcomed by the leaders of the 5 great families. Your Highness, the 5 leaders looked at the armor-clad woman respectfully. The armor-clad woman stood there, with waves of water surging around her, emanating an intangible yet terrifying might. She was Yushui Qianyu, one of the 35 children of the monarch of the Yu country, and was quite outstanding among them. The armor-clad woman laughed heartily, her voice hearty. I heard from Father King that Huyang produced a very remarkable eternal true god named Luo He, with strength even better than Yong Hu's, right? The Lord of Huyang City replied respectfully, in terms of strength, among the eternal true gods of the Yu kingdom, there are very few who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Lord Luo He. Probably none are stronger. Then I've come to the right place, the armor-clad woman nodded with satisfaction. It's no wonder Father King has put so much thought into arranging an opportunity for him. He might even become my senior apprentice brother. The monarch intends to take him as a disciple. The leader of the Wu clan, Wu Kulu, asked. That's not so easy. Even with high talent, one must go through trials to have the hope of becoming Father King's disciple, the armor-clad woman said. All right, hurry up and arrange for me to meet this Lord Luo He immediately. Yes, Your Highness, the leaders of the 5 great families responded respectfully. Huyang City, Primal Chaos Armor 913 Cave Mansion. Luo Feng specially invited the eternal true god, Black Butcher, to personally cook a sumptuous banquet in order to treat the monarch of Yu country's daughter, Yu Shui Qianyu. Considering Yu Shui Qianyu's noble status, as well as representing the godly king, Luo Feng naturally had to be sufficiently formal. The delicacies of Huyang City have their own unique flavor. Yu Shui Qianyu, clad in armor and her luxuriant hair braided into hundreds of plaits, remarked while feasting on a large piece of meat that Black Butcher excelled at preparing. Lord of Huyang City, I think the food here at Lord Luo his is even better than what's offered at the city owner's mansion. Ha ha ha. The Lord of Huyang City, who accompanied them, laughed. In the entire Huyang City, only Black Butcher of the Fire Realm restaurant has achieved the status of eternal true god through his culinary arts. Your Highness, your visit to the city owner's mansion was so sudden, there was no time to invite Black Butcher in advance. Luo Feng nodded. Black Butcher's cooking skills are indeed not bad. It suits my taste very well, it's particularly satisfying to eat. Yu Shui Qianyu looked at Luo Feng. Lord Luo He, could you invite Black Butcher over? Of course, Luo Feng nodded and immediately sent a message for Black Butcher, who had finished cooking in the mansion and was resting, to come over. In the pavilion, there were only Luo Feng, Yu Shui Qianyu, and the accompanying Lord of Huyang City, 3 of them. Black Butcher was also a bit restrained when he entered since he was well aware of the status of the guests at today's banquet. That was the daughter of the monarch of Yu country. The monarch of Yu country, having established a powerful kingdom on his own, is considered a second-tier power in the entire land of origin, which is indeed quite formidable. In terms of individual strength, he was also one of the very formidable figures in the land of origin. The status of his daughter was noble enough to rival the high echelons of some major clans in the Flame-Wind ancient country. Even for some primal chaos overlords, it would be inappropriate to slight Her Highness Yu Shui Qianyu. I've seen all of you, Black Butcher said respectfully. You're Black Butcher? Yu Shui Qianyu's eyes lit up. Your culinary skills are quite impressive, I really like them. Would you be willing to go to the royal capital and be a chef in my residence? Black Butcher was taken aback. He was invited to the royal capital by the daughter of the monarch of Yu country, just for helping Lord Luo He with a banquet? Lord Luo He, you wouldn't mind if I took your chef, would you? Yu Shui Qianyu looked at Luo Feng. He owns the Fire Realm restaurant. He is not my chef, Luo Feng said with a smile. If he could go to the royal capital, it would mean a broader future for him, which is a good thing. How could I mind? In recent times, Luo Feng had been immersed in cultivation and had not visited the Fire Realm restaurant nor the Dream Flower Tower for quite a while. In my residence, there is only one main chef currently, and you will be the second chef I have invited. Rest assured, once you are there, you will have a separate cave mansion, and the cultivation resources you receive will far exceed what you had in Huyang City, Yu Shui Qianyu said nonchalantly. As the daughter of the monarch, the gifts given to her by her father far exceeded the imagination of many eternal true gods. It is an honor to be invited by your highness, I am naturally willing, Black Butcher decided after some thought. Since his struggle to get to the land of origin, this opportunity lay before him like a vast heaven. With the recent intensifying conflict between Shi Kingdom and Yu Kingdom, as Huyang was a border city, Black Butcher was somewhat worried about becoming involved. Having the chance to go to the royal capital, he naturally wished to take it. Black Butcher, congratulations, Luo Feng said with a smile. It's thanks to you, Lord, that I have this opportunity. Black Butcher was grateful, and he was also very aware of the gap between himself and Lord Luo He. He seized the opportunity to become the chef for Her Royal Highness the Princess, while Lord Luo He was the one Her Royal Highness personally visited. Yu Shui Qianyu laughed heartily. Indeed, I should thank Lord Luo He for allowing me to discover Black Butcher. Get ready quickly, Black Butcher, I will leave Huyang City for the royal capital when the day comes. Yes, Black Butcher responded respectfully and then excused himself to leave. Congratulations, Your Highness, for discovering this great chef in Huyang City, the Lord of Huyang City said. There are some who have achieved eternal true god status through culinary arts. Finding one who suits my taste is rare, Yu Shui Qianyu said while eating meat, feeling quite gratified. As for those more powerful, who could become a primal chaos overlord through culinary arts, it's not possible for them to be a chef for Her Royal Highness the Princess. After all, any primal chaos realm deserves a certain respect from the godly king. Let's talk business, Yu Shuai said, looking at Luo Feng. Lord Luo, my father was very pleased when he heard about you, as it's not often that such a potential eternal true god emerges within our Yu Kingdom's territory. And since the Lord has helped our Yu Kingdom by killing some of Sha Kingdom's minions, my father instructed me to bring a gift for you. Thank you, Your Highness, and please convey my thanks to the godly king as well, Luo Feng said in gratitude. Yu Shuai flipped her hand over and took out a dark purple wooden box, which then flew toward Luo Feng. Lord, please open it and see, Yu Shuai said. Luo Feng opened the box and saw a pale green leaf inside it, with numerous veins and a surface sheen that was subdued but radiant. It even made the surrounding void ripple and twist. Hurry and close the box, Yu Shuai said. This is a freshly matured void proliferation mother tree leaf. The box itself is specially crafted to preserve the leaf for a longer period. Left in the outside world, I fear that within one era, the leaf will completely dry up and lose its effectiveness. In the box, however, the preservation period can be extended many times over. A leaf from the void proliferation mother tree. Luo Feng was moved. He had learned about it from his master's information and from the Duandong River lineage reports. Of course, such a rarity was not something one could buy anywhere, it was all snapped up by the top existences of the land of origin. Whenever the leaves of the void proliferation mother tree mature, some are sent to my father, Yu Shuai said with a smile. My father would bestow them upon primal chaos overlords and his subordinates. And this leaf that was brought today is freshly matured, offering the longest usage time. Lord, are you aware of how it's used? Yu Shuai asked. I've heard it's related to the primal chaos layer? I don't know much, Luo Feng replied. Yu Shuai explained, space is profound, and even powerhouses capable of tearing and cutting space are generally only scratching the surface. Space is profoundly deep, containing hundreds of layers. To completely break through all layers of space is to escape the braided cage, Yu Shuai said. Among the many layers of space, there is one that is the primal chaos layer. The primal chaos layer contains boundless chaotic power. The so-called primal chaos ruins is the connection between the primal chaos layer and the space where we normally live, Yu Shuai explained. Luo Feng listened. You only need to take out the void proliferation mother tree leaf and wear it on your person, and you can go against the current through the primal chaos ruins to reach the primal chaos layer, Yu Shuai said. Ordinary cultivators are repelled, but with the void proliferation mother tree leaf, you can roam freely within the primal chaos layer. Cultivating there will greatly aid you in comprehending the primal chaos laws, Yu Shuai said with a smile. You have deep accumulations in many aspects. Cultivating in the primal chaos layer, you might just comprehend the primal chaos laws. Thank you for the guidance, Your Highness, Luo Feng said. This leaf is not only a token of my father's appreciation for you, but also a reward for your previous slaying of Sha Kingdom's minions, Yu Shuai said. My father also intends to take you as a disciple. If you are willing, you can go to the royal capital to undergo the tests. If you pass the 3 tests, you can become a disciple. Congratulations, Brother Luo. This is an incredible opportunity, the Lord of Huyang City immediately said. Members like them on the fringe of the royal family naturally did not have the same status as a direct disciple of the monarch of Yu country. Every disciple my father takes has to pass through 3 tests, Yu Shuai said. If you successfully become a disciple, the resources you'll get will far surpass this void proliferation mother tree leaf. If you become a primal chaos realm cultivator in the future, my father might even help you with your body refinement. Luo Feng listened. It was like his own 3 body refinement processes. In reality, body refinement was similar to forging weapon secret treasures. If you particularly trust someone, you can let them refine your godly body. For example, if the monarch of Yu country took action, he could naturally make a godly body incredibly powerful. I'll think about it, Luo Feng said, and thank you, Your Highness. Thank you, godly king. Yu Shuai frowned slightly, then smiled. It seems that Lord Luo has another mentor. In the land of origin, the mentor-disciple relationship is no less important than that of father and son. After all, a mentor imparts lineage, provides resources, and gives guidance, leading all the way. This is even more heartfelt than what a father does. In the same vein, a disciple also has to reciprocate to the mentor. If a disciple betrays their mentor, it causes public outrage and is scorned by all forces. Brother Luohi, you can't miss this opportunity, the Lord of Huyang City reminded. There's no need to force it, it's just my father's appreciation for talent, Yu Shui Tianyu said. For the monarch of Yu country, having a few more or fewer disciples made no significant difference. I must still thank your highness, Luo Feng raised his cup. Yu Shui Tianyu also smiled and raised his cup to drink. Even if they couldn't become mentor and disciple, they could still be friends. With such a cultivator of great potential, who knew when he might become a primal chaos realm cultivator? Yu Shui Tianyu was still willing to make friends. After the banquet ended, Yu Shui Tianyu and the Lord of Huyang City departed, and Luo Feng personally saw them out of the cave mansion. Become a disciple? If I become a disciple, I'll be tied down completely. Luo Feng understood this very well. The vice president of the Flame Wind Guild had repeatedly instructed him not to side with Yu Kingdom, to prevent any issues with leaving in the future. The wooing of the monarch of Yu country, the wooing of Emperor Chu's lineage from the Flame Wind ancient country, anyone with a bit of insight knew how to choose. As long as one becomes a primal chaos realm cultivator, most rulers would be willing to recruit them. However, ordinary primal chaos realm cultivators would not be able to become a guest elder for Emperor Chu's lineage in the Flame Wind ancient country. If I go to Yu Kingdom's capital, to the monarch of Yu country, I can be had or not had. In the future, if I go to the Flame Wind ancient country, to Emperor Chu Yu, I will be his important aide. Luo Feng looked at the wooden box in his hand. Still, I have to thank the monarch of Yu country. Luo Feng was quite pleased. This void proliferation mother tree leaf was indeed very helpful to him. That very night, Luo Feng left behind a divine power incarnation, entrusted things to Morosa and Muyu Qingyang, and then went alone to the primal chaos ruins at the Lord of Huyang City's mansion. Brother Luohi, this is the primal chaos ruins, the Lord of Huyang City personally led him. Luo Feng looked ahead. Before them was a distorted void hole, like flowing water pouring down, with boundless chaotic power streaming out. Upon coming out, it naturally began to condense into primal chaos crystals, even permeating some of the surrounding mud and rocks, forming primal chaos stones. The boundless chaotic power of the primal chaos layer, once it comes to the world where we normally live, will solidify, the Lord of Huyang City said, thus we have primal chaos crystals and primal chaos stones. Luo Feng nodded, indeed miraculous. Around the primal chaos ruins, some true gods of void space were responsible for the cutting work, cutting into uniform sizes of crystal blocks. Piles of primal chaos crystals were stacked up, and at this moment they all noticed Lord Luohi, who was accompanied by the Lord of Huyang City. It's Lord Luohi. Lord Luohi has arrived. These true gods of void space all knew that currently, the most formidable in Huyang City was this Lord Luohi. Thank you, City Lord, Luo Feng said with a smile, then I will directly enter the primal chaos layer. After entering, remember the path so you can return the same way, the Lord of Huyang City said with a smile. I have also instructed that from now on, the godly king can enter the primal chaos ruins at any time. Thank you, Luo Feng nodded, then flew straight towards the void hole, moving against the surging chaotic power, and entered the void hole. This episode is end here.